Hello, my name is Nicholas Crody. I'm a writer and designer from Los Angeles, currently based in Milan. Alongside Joanna Kloppenberg, I'm the co-founder of the experimental architecture studio Adjustments Agency, as well as the founder of Interiors Agency, an interior design studio that explores the formation and collision of spaces of interiority at a range of scales, from the individual psyche to the home, up to the nation-state and the planet. I'm the author and designer of The Uses of Decorating, a collection of 4 essays alongside visual material, which has been translated into Spanish and published by Rua Ediciones. The book begins with an introductory essay which establishes the primary theoretical framework for the project as a whole, followed by 3 case studies from the United States in which decorating is deployed to create the effect of a domestic space, but not for the purposes of human habitation. The intention behind this approach is to denaturalize and expose a set of normative representations of non-professional home decorating, and to examine some of the means, ends, and effects of their instrumentalization. Foundational for the project is the claim that decorating is labor, at once material and immaterial, productive and reproductive, rendered invisible as such, and therefore exploitable, by its widespread trivialization, disregard, and denigration within both popular and academic discourses. This is evidenced, for one, in the book's many epigraphs, which feature quotations from noted figures from Kant to Rem Koolhaas, who use the phrase mere decorating, or derivative, as a synonym for insignificant. Concomitant with its devaluation, decorating is invested with a cluster of often incoherent promises, such as the facility to express the self, that legitimate its erasure as work, structure its practices, and furnish its utility within contexts seemingly far removed from that of the home. This twinned aspersion and overinvestment serves as the foundation of what I term the economy of use, within which decorating operates and is constituted, as perceptions of use or uselessness are themselves put to use for diverse ends. The introductory essay, titled The Uses of the Useless, considers various dynamics at play in this economy, such as the frequent lack of a correlation in relationships between intention and purpose, use and value, and utility as a characterization, and usage as actual practice. It explicates how a designation as useless can often spread from action to agent, often leading to the misuse and abuse of bodies whose work is deemed as such. In turn, it investigates how use begets use and establishes the usual, acting to habituate us to an environment or a norm. Additionally, it examines how a use can suggest a specific technique and the knowledge and tools it requires, how use is often shaped or determined by technologies and access to them. The visual companion to the essay features European paintings from the 16th to 17th century, with zooms identifying traces of what one could construe decorating, accompanying a turn in the essay towards historical analysis, beginning with an overview of use in the legal sense, which was an invention of feudal English jurisprudence instrumental to the development of capitalist property relations and common law systems. This provides the background for a primary theoretical framework for the project, namely, that decorating is both part and product of processes of primitive accumulation, described by Karl Marx in Capital as accumulation that is not a result of capitalist modes of production, but rather precedes and enables it, violently cleaving the producer from the means of production. Following the work of Marxist feminist Silvia Federici and other theorists, I apply the concept to the concurrent emergence of a new sexual division of labor defined by the degradation, isolation, and devaluation of women and their work. I argue that decorating, as a form of housework, was not only victim to this process, but was also put to use within it. That is, decorating helps facilitate the appearance of the home as such, defined at the onset of industrial capitalism as a space removed from work that provides relief from the hardships of the factory for the male worker. Without this appearance, the system of wage labor itself would not be operable, predicated on the expropriation of the labor involved in the reproduction of the workforce. But rather than a singular moment in the history of capitalist development, primitive accumulation is understood here as a recurrent and constituent process of it. Alongside the exploitation of underdeveloped economies, it occurs internally within developed economies as well, often through the destruction of older capitalisms, in order to fuel the advancement of a successor, such as with the privatization of social services under neoliberal regimes. In the following essays, I attempt to demonstrate how decorating practices within the United States are both part and product of primitive accumulation at a domestic and a global scale, while simultaneously helping to produce the appearance of an enduring social order to palliate the effects of rapid socioeconomic transformation. The second essay, Audiences of the Domestic, examines YouTube tutorials about home staging, or the practice of redecorating a real estate listing to increase its marketability. In particular, it focuses on a video released by the vlogger Zane Redfern about soft staging, a smaller scale and lower budget variant involving simply the arrangement of objects for visual consumption. According to Redfern, soft staging isn't exclusive to real estate, and therefore, if home staging establishes a distinction between decorating for dwelling and decorating for the market, soft staging marks its reversal, the incorporation of market terminology into daily life. The essay identifies three interrelated processes of primitive accumulation at work here. First, there is the enclosure of the knowledge economy of decorating within corporate-controlled online platforms. Relatedly, the apparently consumptive practices of viewers in fact constitute expropriated labor, producing valuable data while simultaneously building the brand that lures investors. Third, the content of the video itself can be situated within a broader mediatic culture surrounding real estate that emerged concurrently with the expansion of the housing market through mortgage lending to populations previously excluded from access to circuits of finance capital. All three can, in turn, be situated within what is sometimes termed the financialization of daily life, or the marketization of social relations attendant to the contemporary iteration of finance capitalism and the concurrent ascendance of neoliberal ideology and governance. As an organizational framework to explore these dynamics, I probe the performative dimension of decorating suggested in staging, and adopt theatrical terminology that is variously descriptive and evocatively imprecise. For example, the props are not only bibelots and furniture, but also the actors as well, from the invisible laborers producing such commodities to the vlogger, who is reduced to a data set within the algorithmic machine of YouTube. Meanwhile, the script is simultaneously the citational visual economy that structures decorating, as well as the concept of domesticity itself, understood as itself performative, both produced by and producing the domesticated subject. Therefore, as a descriptor, the domestic is at once deictic and embedded within an economy of shared associations, but, through reification, appears as an objective and enduring ordering system. In turn, the script transforms the audience into actors by encouraging them to reproduce the tutorial themselves, in which case tutorials can be understood as something like an automation technology designed to reduce the creative labor of decorating. Alternatively, it forces their attendance through a sense of disabling professionalism, or when one's confidence is undermined in the face of the apparent expertise of another. Returning to soft staging, I argue that the concept implies the marketization of hospitality, where the guest becomes an audience, and, in turn, a potential buyer. That is, within a context marked by both the calculative logic of finance capitalism and widening precarity, decorating serves many roles in addition to those it is typically ascribed, from shoring up the value of an asset to acting as a source of revenue through an online store, like in the case of Redfern. But more than this, it also becomes something like a credit report or a human capital portfolio as a result of the normative assumption that decorating expresses the subject. And, due to the uncertainty inherent in human capital accumulation, if anyone can be an investor, that also means anyone can be a rating agency, even of themselves. The third essay, The Intimacy of Distance, or Decorating as Lubricant, focuses on Studio 20, an adult webcam or camming studio. Located on the top floor of a strip mall in Hollywood, it contains a series of rooms set off along a hallway. Each is a set with one half featuring a camera, lights, and a computer, while the other is decorated typically to create the appearance of a bedroom. These devices and decor assembled together not only facilitate the work on display, but support a global soma-technical economy composed of bodily